Beware of the glass tree. I don't have long to type this out and I don't know how to begin, but I need to warn you so you won't suffer the same fate that I did. Posting it here is the best way that I know how to get this to you. A few years ago, my great aunt Augusta passed away, and to that point, she had never missed a family gathering and kept up to date on all the family gossip and affairs. I guess she kept the will up to date as well, because there wasn't a single person in the will that didn't inherit something. I inherited the glass tree. And at first I was annoyed about it, but let's begin with the letter. Dear Margaret, I hope this letter finds you in good health. If not, then good health shall soon come to you. I leave you my glass tree that was gifted to me by my uncle by a fairy, which is why the craftsmanship is so high quality for its age, but also why you could not be greedy with it. Tell the tree your who's and watch your life blossom. I always believed in you and felt you had the worst luck. I hope the tree will help your dreams become a reality. Stay humble. Much love, Aunt Astedia. I looked at the tree and I was executed. It's beautiful and age-eloquated. The branches were shiny, copper color, adored, and shiny emerald-colored leaves, and along the base was jade-colored glass. On the bottom were words, behave of greed as you whisper your need, engraved into it. I placed it on my desk so I could have something to look at while I did my homework. At the time, I was staying with a few other girls in the shabby apartment, which should really have been commended, but we couldn't afford, and it was cheaper and less receptive than staying in a dorm on campus grounds. I didn't talk to the tree, not yet. But I guess the tree heard us all talking about the apartment condition and what it would be like for a more comfortable apartment, because a couple of months later we were moving closer to campus. The new apartment was simple and had the bare basics of what we needed. The roof didn't leak and it didn't rain anymore. We felt safer and less crammed. We were happier. It didn't last too long. The day I realized the tree could actually bless me is when it ended. Not immediately, stuff like this takes time, but that was the beginning of the end. I hadn't yet begun talking to the tree, but I had my roommates and I took phone calls in my room, and the tree listened. Even though I wasn't talking to the tree directly, it still listened. Such a good tree. I hope you treat it better than I did. I was on my phone with my sister complaining about my ex Jeremy and his stalking habits. They were eccentric and becoming more frightening by the day. I wanted him gone so the fear would be gone. The next day he vanished. His to-go bag was in the passenger seat. The car was turned on, ready to start. Employees of the burger joint said that they saw him climbing into the car, but he never pulled out. The time stamped on the security footage was the same when I was complaining to my sister. I looked at the tree, acting all innocent, atop my desk, and a cold chill overtook me. My breath became shallow, and I began to feel numb. I threw a piece of cloth over the tree, then avoided my room for the next few days. I was in a panic, afraid of my bones, because the tree had magically made him into non-existent. The tree now felt evil. I feared what it may do if I complained about my boss or anyone else. This lasted for a couple of months until I uploaded some medium that I had no intentions of talking to ever again. Have you read or seen Death Note? She asked me. I shook my head. No. She went on, in the story, if you write down a name in the notebook, the person dies. They all die the same way, and within the same time after writing their name, unless you specifically write down how you want them to die, you couldn't get too specific. But if you wrote it like a cause of death, it would happen. And when you know what you said, sometimes I wondered if you had told the tree that you wanted Jeremy to be arrested or transferred away from you, it would have done that instead. Why do you think the tree would have behaved like this in Death Note? I said, I wanted Jeremy out of my life, and then he vanished. I didn't say I wanted Jeremy to disappear off the face of the earth, I shouted. And that's the Fae's work. They follow things to the letter, not to the spirit. You said the tree was made by the Fae. If you say, I want $1 million, you may have a yard full of lamban rather than a pocket full of money, she said. I don't remember how we agreed to test it. I just remember that I told her that I'd get back to her and let her know what happened. Obviously, I never did, because it worked. The greed began. I suddenly saw the tree as his memory wharf. I had big dreams to fulfill. I was no longer afraid of the tree, now that its methods were clear. Oh, how foolish I was to think that there was nothing to fear about my wonderful glass tree. I think the medium talked to someone else about the tree because a quote-unquote collector, end of quotes, for the quote-unquote aquasumum museum, end of quotes, came by asking about it only a couple of weeks later. Of course, I only told them where to stick it, and I think she wanted it for herself because I couldn't find it anywhere online. No amount of money on earth could equate to the tree's potential. I wish I had accepted their offer. Then I had the chance. Maybe it will show up at the quote-unquote collector's, end of quotes, house. I didn't go around killing people with the tree, and I couldn't affect anybody who was a celebrity. I think the attention on celebrities is what protects them. It's just that the tree refused because they're a celebrity. Last night was the night that it was finally over. I sat in my new room in my 4-bedroom house that I owned all by myself, surrounded by closets of clothes that I only ever wore once, with my newly found wealth displayed on my walls for a company that never came to see. I was watching YouTube on my smart TV when I saw a large house in the background, one of the videos. I want that house. I turned to the glass tree in my lap like some kind of cat. Get me that house. I want that house. I know, very eucalyptus salt of me, I guess. That's when the tree decided it had endured enough of my shit. I heard a loud crack and felt a pain on the bottom of my foot, as though I stepped on a shard of glass. I cried out in pain, looking for the source. It wasn't even any blood. I rubbed my finger along where I felt the pain. My foot was smooth like glass. I was slowly turning into glass, beginning with my feet. I could feel it spreading. I began to panic when it got to my knee as I pleaded and begged with the tree. It stopped at my waist so far, but by midnight tonight I will be glass, I think. On the base is a clear figure of a young woman sitting with a book. It started off clear, but as I become more glass, it became more colorful. I don't know what will happen to me when I become all glass. Maybe I will shatter or crease to be. The trees allowed me till midnight to post a warning to whoever ends up with it next. I don't know how you will come across the tree, but I know somebody reading this will. When I begged for the chance to warn the world, I heard the name of this place as a soft whisper in the wind that sounded like rustling leaves. Be kind to the tree and stay humble.